Alright everyone, you remember when the Patriot Act was patriotic, clean coal was clean, and Antifa fought against fascism? Well, now we've got another one. We've got the Kids Safety Act making its way through Congress, being proposed and supported by the ADL and similar groups, so, it's leftoid censorship as usual. Just a bunch more authoritarianism, link in the description. Archived, of course. I might read a little bit of this verbatim. First, let me get into the basic sum and substance of it. The Kids Safety Act, as with all acts that are authoritarian, censorious, and clearly in violation of the First and Fourth Amendments, it's being billed as basically a think of the kids proposal. Well, kids are being exposed to radicalization and hateful content, and we don't want our kids to hear hateful things, and we want everyone to sing Kumbaya and be hunky-dory and everything will be fine. And so we're going to try to strangulate the internet in order to create a situation in which platforms have to directly police this behavior even more vehemently than they already do on their own accord in order to prevent anyone under the age of 18 from interacting with any content that the government should arbitrarily label to be hateful. Much like with all the other pig-in-a-poke mislabeled acts and proposals throughout time, though, that's not what's actually going to happen. Nobody wants kids to be sexualized, for example, but I notice that every proposal to prevent that boils down to trying to reduce anonymity on the internet and create like an internet ID system, which also affects adults, I would note, to be tax-paying citizens, and prevents them from being able to express themselves without the fear of doxing. Ironically, in juxtaposition to this bill, which directly addresses doxing, but does absolutely nothing to actually mitigate it. Well, yeah, there could be a reason for that. These two coincidentally opposite things may be actually related to one another. It's called authoritarianism. They're trying to rip the internet apart and destroy free expression. And let me tell you something. The kids are all right. Go into any elementary school and say, "Hello, fellow children," and spend a day with the elementary school kids. Do you know what you're going to hear? You're going to hear you're going to hear swears like drunken sailors. You're going to hear crazy tirades about every race and ethnicity and gender and everything else under the sun. Trust me, I'm not so old that I don't remember this. Kids are going to tell bawdy jokes, especially when they're around the age of puberty. When they start going through that, especially the males, and say weird shit. They're going to fight each other, they're going to say hateful things, they're going to bully and harass each other. It is unavoidable. Everyone has to go through this. It's automatically a facet of your especially late elementary through middle school experience. It is normal. And I'm talking, my experience mainly comes from relatively well-run schools in the state of Vermont. And Vermont has a high educational attainment. We churn out students that are really high achievers, and then naturally they move out of our high-tax shithole of a state and they go to the Dakotas or Texas to go work in an oil rig or something and make six figures, and they come back when they're 55 or something and they buy their McMansion back in Vermont and they say, well, I was born in this state. I mean, I've been in Texas for the last 40 years, but I made mine. Everything's fine. And that's sort of my personal experience. Even if you're a poor kid, if you go to a Vermont school, they tend to be pretty good. But you would hear the craziest shit all of the time. And by the way, it did not matter which clique you happen to be part of. Oh no, you can interact with pretty much anyone and say the craziest shit in high school and get away with it. It's a little bit more low-key in my case. There's less of a hellion there than I was in middle school. We told crazy jokes all the time. Some of which would literally get you banned on the average online platform. Maybe if you're using new tech, which you should definitely be using. You could say those things on Gab. You could get away with it maybe on Rumble, but if you put a YouTube video up saying some of the things that we were joking around in elementary school, yeah, you'd get banned. And it's still the same way. The idea that the youth has changed fundamentally, or that there's some unique threat to them because of the rise of the internet, is bullshit. I was interacting with the internet at a young age. Yeah, I was exposed to porn and stuff, and I saw plenty of hateful content. Did this make me a bigot? Did it radicalize me? Did it make me hate other people for the color of their skin, or even their content of their character, unless they're a hypocritical nimbius? No. And I'm on the edgy side. God, I'm a fucking lifelong hellion. Just think the average normal kid that has more genteel views, they're not going to turn into a terrorist because they went onto a forum and they saw, the N-word or something like that. It's not going to make them into an extremist or a racist. This is Congress' way of trying to circumvent the First Amendment, as usual. Let me read a couple of segments here verbatim. Leftist legal experts believe harassment should count as a criminal defense and hope to use this justification to implement enforcement against hate speech, which literally, doctrinally doesn't exist at all. The sad fact is a lot of hate speech does satisfy the emergency principle. It constitutes a general threat or targeted harassment or hostile environment harassment or an intentional incitement of imminent violence, former ACLU President Nadine Strawson argues. You know what I would argue? If you're offended, turn it off. The irony is that I'm agreeing with like the 90s and 2000s leftoids with regards to like radio censorship and stuff like that with Stern and things back in the day. Fuck the FCC. If you don't like what you're hearing, you are perfectly capable of changing the dial, now aren't you? If you don't like what you see on an internet site, you are perfectly capable of using a different internet site. Even minors are capable of doing that. If they see something that is gross or offensive or something like that, you do realize that they do have the capability of pressing that little X up there, leaving the site, and going back to their hug box. But the kids are going to be attracted to the edgy content anyway, because kids tend to be even more edgy than adults. You think that the problem is people that are middle-aged? Oh, fuck no. No, the problem, ironically, is like 12-year-old shit posting online. Have you seen some of the footage from like when people are gaming, streaming a game, multiplayer? Who shit talks the most? It's the kids. It's not the adults. They're like, what the fuck? Go a fucking way. There's some 10-year-old calling them, various racial slurs. Oh, the kids are all right. Don't worry about it too much. I'm sure that they'll tie that in with the concept that gaming causes radicalization. Now, if anything, gaming has been dumbed down and now promotes communism more than anything else. The Kids Safety Act is pig in a pokery. It's presented as save the kids, but as usual, it's not about saving the kids. It's about screwing up the Constitution. That's the long and short of it. We can expect more of this crap from Congress. They've done this before. It's a long-term pattern. These old fogies don't even understand the goddamn internet, and that's the whole problem. Half the people in Congress can't even make their own tweets, and yet we're tasking them with designing bills to try to prevent teenagers from encountering the N-word. They will fail. Utterly, completely fail. If anything, you're going to get these kids piling onto 4chan and sites that won't be covered under this, and will say, wow, yeah, we got age verification. Yeah, you click, oh yeah, I'm 18 or older, or something like that. It's like trying to keep people away from porn. Good goddamn luck. That's about all. Peace out.